Shut up and sit down.
Welcome once again to the Shite podcast show. I'm your host, Mark Kearns. Joining me as ever, Ken Riley.
What's the crack?
How are you, Ken?
Not too bad.
Yeah? Lockdown lifted in Clare, so you're a fully free man?
Yeah, well, I was a free man anyway because I live in Offaly.
Yeah, we were complaining, I think, one of the weeks on the show that, like, you spend most of your time in Clare, so you're sort of still in limbo?
Yeah, well, I'm completely out of it now, at least.
How was Cork?
Cork was good, actually. Like Cork's alright. I like Cork.
Yeah, I like Cork. It's not a nice place. I went to Clare over the weekend.
Oh yeah, how was that?
That was nice. Went over for the purpose of surfing, got really, really drunk, and didn't go surfing.
As you do.
As you do, yes.
That seems to be like the Mark Kearns consensus, that I'm going to this place to do this one specific thing that I'm not going to do because I'm going to get drunk.
Well, like I said to the people that we were sharing the house with, I would have manned up to go surfing if there were waves. The fact that there was no waves made it kind of pointless. But I like after a night on the sauce and you're nice near sea water, I like to just float in the water. It kind of does refresh me. But like I was just in a heap. I haven't really been drinking that hard since the lockdown, so like the first session's always the hardest. Spoken like a true alcoholic, I know.
Yeah.
So but it was good. Clare around Lahinch. I'd move to Lahinch if there were anything. If it was a better kind of more civilized town and a little bit warmer.
If there's anything to actually move there for.
Well, there's the water, and it's a lovely town, but I imagine during the winter it is as dead as a dodo in terms of anybody being there. Like, all the tourists, everyone leaves their holiday home goodbye, and you left the last person to leave a party. It'd be that kind of feel, I'd imagine. But, like, yeah. Anytime I go there, I'm like, I'd live here.
Do you have any, like, connections to it, or just...
No, just me and my friends kind of go down to Clare every now and again. It's a lovely part of the world. If anybody hasn't been to Clare, I highly recommend it. Do you know what? My story selection has been, I kind of think I have a kind of Ken story going on.
That's good.
One of my stories. You have a story about fake meat.
Yeah.
So, like, I've one about a snake being pulled out of a person's mouth, and we have a story about Akon wanting to build a Wakanda, and since that was built on alien technology in a fictional comic book, I can't wait to hear how he's going to actually do it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he pulls that one off.
Yeah, a guy who can't get a job is what I have on my notes. Is Ken's going to have a story about?
Yeah, and he's stuck with no job.
Stuck with no job, as well as millennials are now offended by the full stop in a message. We're going to be breaking down into that as well. And if we get around to it, we're also going to be discussing whether police or guards in Ireland or cops in America should be able or allowed to be trained in martial arts, if it's a good idea or a bad idea. We'll look into it, bro.
We look into it. Don't worry. We look into these things so you don't have to.
Yes, exactly. We do your thinking for you, which you know is a safe thing.
Kind of,
definitely not. So should we start off with your fake meat story?
Yeah. So there's a company in Israel called Redefine Meat, and they're like a meat substitute company, and they've developed a fake steak that they claim will ease the environmental damage that the meat industry causes on the planet. And they go in to say, like, there's 1 billion cows a year are killed for their meat. Cows consume more water than the entire human population on Earth, and they produce more pollution than the entire fleet of cars on the planet. And they consume enough food to feed every human on the planet. So their thinking is that they reduce the need for cows by coming up with this substitute steak thing. But their CEO says what they're hoping to do is create enough 3D printers throughout the world to produce 250 kilos a day of this meat substitute that's made from, what's it made from? Soybeans, pea protein, coconut fat, and sunflower oil. He promises that it will have the same taste, texture, and appearance as a steak. But like, it's to be 3D printed.
I don't have a problem with the 3D printer part of it, right? Soy lowers testosterone in the body, so that's not going to be great for men, especially if it's eaten at the same quantity that meat is eaten around the world. And then he goes on to say, he started off by saying it consumes some ridiculous number of water. Do you know where most cows are produced? They're fed in fucking Ireland or England, where it rains non-stop, where they do not have a shortage of fucking water. I know water in the desert is like hard to come by, so it's considered like a valuable resource. But we can't we have like towns flooded with water. We can feed enough cows water until literally they come home in Ireland. Don't worry, we got the water thing sorted.
Well, he says that he's going to his company will have a 95% lower environmental impact than the current meat production industry, and that he will have his 3D printers in 3 countries by the end of 2020. The fact that it's 3D printed is the part that's kind of bugging me the most.
Okay, well, what's wrong with like 3D printed? If it's like, if what they're doing is just making it out already edible foods, it's not going to be made out of like synthetic plastics.
Yeah, but just the fact that you're 3D printing food is like, I don't like that idea.
Oh, do you know what? There's probably a person who's seen the first blender and gone, oh, I don't know about that blender. That machine might do it, but we're used to blenders, and we're just like, yeah, it's a blender, get over yourself.
I don't know, like, it's the same, but like, I just don't like 3D printers.
What? I fear technology. I'm Ken. Why would you ever go outside Offaly or Cork?
I don't like 3D printers.
Like, seriously, I think, like, me and my friends have this argument. You know, if you could be left in an island and you're only allowed to bring one thing, no thing I always say to my friends pisses them off.
What?
I'd bring a 3D printer and then I could actually make whatever I want to get off the island.
Yeah, no.
So like, I think 3D printers, like, what do you think they're going to do is, if they want to make a tool, like let's say they need a certain spanner in space, that they have a 3D printer in space and they'll be able to make the spanner that they need in the spaceship, so they don't have to like be carting tools on a spaceship. And same with when they go to Mars, they're going to be able to make stuff over on Mars instead of like bringing over like huge amount of like individual things that they make. They'd be fly over raw materials, or if they can find raw materials that they can make off Mars's kind of planet, they can actually then use 3D printers to make whatever tools or whatever they need from 3D printers. So they're going to become really important in the future, 3D printers.
You see, that's just laziness.
It's not laziness, it's technology. A drill is laziness.
It's just laziness.
Sliced bread is laziness. Like, you know, like we're all used to now laziness things. Like having to be able to sit on your couch and like turn on your TV. That's laziness. Like, that's like last 10 years as a fiction in most like parts of Ireland.
Yeah, it is laziness.
Or maybe 20 years ago. But like, who cares? If we're getting laziness as a species, that's the like evolution of humans. We become softer and lazier throughout the generations,
and that's why the computers are going to take over.
That's why today's kids are afraid of full stops. Let's keep pushing forward and seeing how far we can take this.
Yeah. I don't know what's fearful about a full stop.
Well, we'll get into that in a while, but right now we're onto the meat. Yeah, like once, like we've kind of talked about this previously, where we discussed whether they should be able to use meat names for foods in terms of like artificial meat products. Like, I'm not against them as a whole, but like I don't really want to take a whole lot of soy into my body because of lower testosterone. And like, I don't think it's not really tested how much soy is compatible to be able to eat. I know like you'd have to eat an awful lot of soy in order to lower your testosterone to a substantial amount. Like you'd have to eat an awful lot of it. But like if you have a high meat consumption, and you replace it with artificial meat, surely then that is going to have an impact on your diet, on your testosterone in your body. If you're a carnivore diet and you decide to switch from meat to artificial meat, like surely that's going to have an impact if you're consuming that much soy.
Yeah, probably.
Like, we don't know. Yeah, but in terms of it being in a 3D printer, yeah, so what? Like, I'm not against GMO foods. There's no proven evidence that they are anyway harmful than ordinary foods, and generally people just don't know what GMO stands for, and genetically it sounds really, really bad. But like, look at there's cyanide in apple pips.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, people think
you don't eat apples.
Well, see, people think natural is good for you and artificial is bad for you, but aspirin is synthetic, and cyanide is in fucking some fruit seeds. There you go, people.
Yeah, no, I still don't like 3D printers.
Or apples.
Or apples are actually alright.
Yeah, apples are great.
I won't go as far as to say they're great, but they're alright.
As in terms, if we can just get Ken to eat apples a little bit more, like we were on the right track. They're great, kitten. No, and when does he say when this fake meat is going to be out, when he's going to be printing meat?
Yeah, it's going to be in 3 different countries. It's going to be in Israel, Switzerland, and Germany by the end of the year.
I don't know why you would put in Switzerland. Like, Switzerland would have France beside it. Switzerland's quite green itself, so I'd imagine they'd have a lot of cows there. Like, if you put one in Ireland, it'd be just looked at. It's like, no, we're not using that.
It's probably why they put it in Switzerland, probably because they've got a lot of cows.
Yeah, possibly. Well, they'd probably awfully think you'd try it with like Ireland or UK then, where they survive mostly of their agricultural industry is through beef, and see if they can, like the big countries like that you could topple. But like, I imagine like the agricultural industry have such a big lobby group in Ireland, nothing like that would ever even be thought about. Like, it would be be shunned straight away.
Yeah, fucking farmers.
It's good for them. They make a living off it. They like, huge part of our industry is their beef.
Yeah, but he's still fucking farmers.
Ken's in the country, so he has to experience farmers. We all have this rosy tinted glasses of what a farmer is. Like, he's plodding around in his tractor, happy as Larry, probably named that, and has his cow beside him. He's petting his cow and he's feeding him grass off his hand. And da-da-da-da, Ken's is like stuck behind this farmer who smells like shite the whole time.
Usually they're kind of bollockses.
Usually they're raging alcoholics. You want to be general.
Usually they are actually usually dicks.
Yeah. Well, let's not piss off the farmer community.
Not all of them, but like a lot of them.
Okay. Goodbye, farmers. Good knowing you. We might improve our farmer listening with Israeli fans who like that, but after my water comment, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I highly don't think so. So let's move on to Russia. Let's try conquer that.
Let's conquer Russia.
Yes, conquer Russia. And surgeons in Russia had to remove what appears to be a 4-foot snake from a woman's throat. I've heard of odd things being stuck down people's throat, but I'm kind of surprised that even Russia has snakes in it. I know it's a large enough country almost. I know it's not a continent, but like, it's large and it's probably the largest country in the world, I'd imagine. Landmass.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if Canada include all the ice. It'd also be quite large in terms of its thing. But I'm not sure if Russia's the largest. I think it's argued that either Australia is the largest island or the smallest continent. So maybe not a country. We don't know this. We're not great at geography or maths in this show. Anyway, we'll move on. So the woman is unnamed, but she's from Russia. She's from Dagestan in Russia, and surgeons had to remove a 4-foot-long serpent from her throat after she fell asleep outside, and the snake slithered apparently into her mouth.
As you do, like.
Yeah, so it must have been quite warm for wherever she was, and she decided to take a nap outside. So after she started to feel unwell, the woman was rushed to hospital, where doctors got to work removing the snake. They had to stick a metal tube down her throat and then pull from the tail out.
Jesus.
As the doctors or surgeons were removing, there's kind of a gasp because they didn't know what, she didn't come into the surgery going, "Oh, I swallowed a snake," or it would probably be like, "Oh, swallowed a snake." She probably just started feeling unwell, and didn't know what was caught in her throat, or probably I imagine she got like a choking feeling. But so there was a gasp from the room once the surgeons removed the snake from her mouth. The female surgeon kind of stuck back as she took out the 4-foot-long snake, and after saying, "Let's see what's in here," I'm pretty sure she wished she could probably put it back after that.
I can't imagine. I'm assuming it was dead.
Well, that wasn't actually determined if it was dead or not. But this is Russia, so the surgeon probably was like, "Oh, snake, put it in a bucket," and threw it in a random bucket beside her, and that was left with a snake. It was then brought home for her dinner.
Bye bye, Russia.
Other than her bringing it home for her dinner. Everything else was more or less accurate. She kind of just stuck it back and threw it into a bucket. Yeah, so it wasn't determined whether or not the snake actually survived or how it tastes. But yeah, it was so fucking weird. But even weirder than that, than finding a 4-foot-long snake down your body, is that locals from the area say that it isn't uncommon that snakes crawl into people, and actually have warned people not to fall asleep outside for this reason.
Where the fuck?
That has to be evolution default of snakes, to crawl into a prey animal's mouth and go, "Oh, I'm going to live here."
Yeah.
Like to the point where a government body has to come out and say, "Oh, try not to sleep outside because, we have a problem with this snake thing crawling into people's mouths."
I don't even know where to go with that one.
Yeah, so if you want to build up reason not to go to Russia, falling asleep outside and snakes crawling into your mouth is now one of them. If you want to go to Dagestan,
yeah,
is that where Khabib's from?
That's where Khabib is from. Yeah,
I wonder how many times that's happened to him.
Yeah, or if it's ever happened to him.
No, he probably just likes snakes. Takes them probably a delicacy because they jump right into his mouth. Oh, I'll just eat it. Protein.
Protein. It's one way to get the protein in.
Now, people who are commenting on the video said it mightn't actually be a snake, but a worm, a tapeworm that has actually crawled into her mouth. And,
sick.
And it has been there that long that has grown to about 4 feet.
Oh, that's disgusting.
I'd probably rather it be a snake.
Yeah, 100% rather it be a snake.
Now, this is not the only snake action we have in the show today, because apparently snakes had a team of hiding in people's body parts and belongings, because a woman in Florida had a similar situation in her washing machine after what she thought was a leopard print top turned out to be a real life python.
Oh.
So she lived in an apartment complex, and generally if you're in America and you live in these apartment complexes, they don't come with washing machines or dryers. Generally you go to this place to actually do your washing and drying. So she was in one of these places, noticed that what appeared to be an item of clothing that wasn't in her washing that she obviously put there. So obviously it was oh, what's that? We went to investigate by looking a little bit closer and realised that wasn't snake printed. That was an actual snake.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, it would have had to sneak past her or else be in her basket.
And would she not have noticed that she didn't have a snake printed top?
Yeah, well, that's why she was investigating. So she stuck it on her washing machine. It was spinning around. She comes back, right? Snake is probably pretty pissed off at this point, being in a washing machine and all that. And she seen that like a snake printed something in from the outside. Something that looks like a snake thing. She's like, "What the hell is that?" Turns out to be an actual snake.
How pissed off would you be?
Well, she went, "Oh, I like snake printed," and you're like, "Oh," so I'm pretty scared, to be honest with you. Anger wouldn't come into it.
I get pretty angry.
You're like, "What kind of a shit laundrette is this?" There's a snake in here.
Snakes don't bother me. Like I have a snake.
Yeah.
So like I'd be just like, why the fuck did some dickhead let a snake into the place?
It's poisonous though.
It's only if you get bitten.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure that's her main concern at that point. That I have to take my clothes out of the washing machine, and I might get bitten in the process.
You could just like fucking make sure that you catch it behind the head properly and you don't get bitten. I'm
pretty sure not everyone's built-in knowledge of how to hold a snake.
They haven't watched enough Steve Irwin.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be like, okay, what temperature do I have to turn this on that it dies in the wash?
Yeah, no, you just catch it behind the head.
Nah. Set the washing machine alight. Buy new clothes.
It's like once you get them in the air, they're pretty smart. Once you get it in the air, it knows that like obviously you're holding it. It won't bite you once you get it off the ground.
All right.
Because obviously it doesn't want to drop. So if you can get a snake up in the air, you're holding it. It knows that if I bite this thing that's holding me, I'm going to drop. And it's going to be sore. Don't want that to happen.
That's like saying, if you can get behind Brock Lesnar's back, he's useless. He can't turn around fast. He won't be able to get you. Good luck getting behind Brock Lesnar's back.
I'd get behind Brock Lesnar's back.
No, you wouldn't. That would be over fast. Maybe I know a person that might be able to get behind Brock Lesnar's back.
Go on.
Akon.
Is that a segue?
That is a segue. We're moving to the next story. I wonder if Akon's actually afraid of snakes.
I wouldn't say so.
Well, growing up in West Africa, he probably is used to seeing a lot of
he probably is actually scared of snakes then.
Well, he's probably used to it. I think if you're growing up around snakes...
I know, like, I work with a couple of Africans that are terrified of snakes.
Alright, then maybe he is. You could go either way. Either you don't care, like, you stand on their heads, or you're afraid of them, like, I don't know.
Yeah, like, they're terrified of them because, like, they...
ate my baby.
Yeah, obviously, like, they grew up with them and stuff, like, and they know how dangerous they can be.
Yeah, so, like, this story is about Akon. He wants 6 billion funding to make a real life Wakanda. And this story is kind of apt because of the news last week over Chadwick Boseman, who died at 43 of cancer. He played Black Panther in the Marvel movies. I don't think Akon wants to build it in memory of him. I think he grew up, he spent most of his life, even though he was born in Missouri, he spent good 40% of his upbringing was in West Africa. But yeah, on the kind of like situation of Chad Boseman, right? I was chatting to Gus, he's appeared on the show before, and he was saying that he's had this cancer from Civil War, from Captain America Civil War. That's how long he's been fighting cancer. And throughout pretty much all the Marvel films that we see him in, he's had cancer.
Yeah, that's mad, like.
That is insane. He's in fucking phenomenal shape and has cancer. True, that like yeah. I can still not get over like the obviously the Black Panther is a huge successful movie, huge addition to the Marvel movies, and one of the most popular Marvel movies in terms of box office success that Marvel's produced was Black Panther. But like the fact that he put on performances like that as well while he was going through cancer. And apparently not a lot of the people on set actually knew that he had cancer either. He kept it quite quiet as well. So
that's quite surprising that like he was able to keep it that quiet.
Yeah, because you imagine that he, like through all his media and all his shooting obligations and many times that you're on set, that he would have been going through treatment while he was on set.
Yeah.
So, like, you wonder, how he was able to keep it a big secret. Obviously, there's producers and you have to get medicals in when you're doing movies. So, like, obviously they knew going into the movie that he had cancer. He would have to get tested by doctors and stuff like that.
Yeah, like it's mad, like how he managed to keep that quiet.
Yeah, so like, obviously it's
even with stuff like what you call them, paparazzi and stuff. Like how did he manage to go for treatment and stuff?
Yeah, because he would have been obviously when Civil War, and I think they were already shooting a lot of Black Panther during Civil War anyway. He might have been under like celebs' radar, but then after that, when he was doing all the other Avenger movies that came after Black Panther and all that, he would have been really recognized. So him coming out of hospital, or him like any kind of difference in like his weight loss or anything where he might look sick, like paparazzi usually would be all over that.
Yeah, like I know now he probably went to like a private hospital or whatever, but like keeping that under wraps when you're a celebrity is some fucking feat, like.
Yeah, but anyway, however he meant to do, he did, and was able to put his struggles with cancer behind him to do all the movies. And yeah, like it is a really sad loss. And he dies at like 43. He's quite young. And after, I just wonder, like, what are they going to do in terms of the movies? Are they going to like? I think in this day and age, it might be kind of a little bit insensitive to recast for a new Black Panther if they're just going to kill off the character and move on with his sister as the new Black Panther, because she was kind of in line to take over if like anything happened to Black Panther.
And now something has.
Well, the actor, yeah. Like, it is a good opportunity to bring another female superhero into the mix, and it is, in that way, it isn't seen to be like a political move, but a move had to do because of necessary what happened to the actor. So I imagine that's what they will do, rather than maybe recasting a different Black Panther.
Yeah, like I don't know how they would make the change even to his sister. Like surely they would have killed him off probably in a movie.
Yeah,
but you can't really kill him off and not have him,
not see him die.
Yeah, like you can't really say, oh, well, he's dead.
Well, they could do what they did with Paul Walker and use a lot of CGI and use an actor until they came to his death. Now, you'd have to be able to impersonate his voice as well. So yeah, it does put the movie in a huge jeopardy. Like, I don't think they can go, oh yeah, he died, and the viewers are gonna be like, how? You have to tell us. You can't just leave us like this. So unfortunately, like, obviously they're gonna have to come up with a way or something to do in terms of to explain this. But fans will already know, like, realistically, everyone who goes to that theater won't be like, why did they do that? Everyone will know why they had to do it. So okay, whatever move they make, I think fans will understand because it's a move that they had to make.
Yeah, it's just like it's going to be. I never actually seen the movie.
Oh, have you not?
No.
Yeah, it's definitely worth. Like, if you've seen the other Marvel movies, it's a really good movie overall. Like, I know a lot of people say like all Marvel movies are quite similar. This is one of those movies that will stand out to you, kind of like Professor Strange did as a villain. Did kind of, he seems like, or Doctor Strange as a super movie kind of seemed a little bit different because they played around with almost like a Harry Potter team. Thor Ragnarok seemed completely different because they just destroyed the idea of what Thor is. And just built it in people's imagination. So it is on that level of like, it just, everything about the movies feels different. Now, if Akon can get the city built in time, Akon, if you're listening to this podcast, they could use your new Wakanda in the movie, because this is what he wants.
Where's he planning on doing this?
Senegal in Africa. He wants to build it there. He wants to get 6 billion, which, like, for a city, to get a city built, like, especially a futuristic city, that's going to need some form of, like, radical architecture, I'd imagine. If you get this city built, you need a lot more than 6 billion. 6 billion does seem like a little bit like of a short budget. Like, imagine for a real super fictional city like Wakanda, you're talking into the 100 billion range.
Are you?
Like, well, how much does a skyscraper cost?
I don't know. Like, is he talking about being like fully functional?
Yeah, by the sounds of it, he wants to put a 6 billion. Like, he wants to build Wakanda into a realized city. Confirmed that he's a third of his funding already got for the
He's already
project.
got 2 billion for it.
Yeah, he got a third of the funding for it already. So it's going to actually start, I think, sometime next year. It's going to take, for the first third of the project, it's going to take up to 3 years to build.
Jesus. Like,
First phase is going to take up to 3 years to build. So this is.
and what's he going to do with it?
Well, he wants to run it as a city. Investors to invest in Wakanda, and he said that it's basically going to be a safe haven for African Americans and others facing racial injustice across the world. Supply a host of people from Senegal and the community, as well as being like an innovator of technology and bringing community and jobs to the area.
Yeah, wonder how that'll work.
Yeah, no, like, he's also going to, like, but the currency, he's going to use his own A-coin, I think is his name of his currency, and it's going to be a cryptocurrency that is going to be supported by a marketplace of tools, services, fueling dreams, and entrepreneurs, businesses, owners, and social activists. So that's basically going to be the basis of his cryptocurrency. It's basically going to be based on the marketplace. I take it the marketplace is going to be the city of Wakanda, which is going to be in Senegal, and it's going to basically all the tools and services that Wakanda provides. It's going to be however well Wakanda do, the cryptocurrency is going to do, basically. So it's going to be based off that, which doesn't seem, for starting a city, doesn't seem to be the most solidest financial decision to do. It's based off a brand new city. Like, here, look at it. It seems like he's doing it for the right reason. Like, imagine Senegal isn't the most richest country in the world.
Yeah.
And do you know what? If more and more people invest billions of dollars into African countries and help build infrastructure and help build reasons for people to go to Africa, then more and more places can come tourist destinations in Africa. So, like, I can see, like, if you build a Wakanda, a place where people can walk around that looks like a Marvel film, people are going to go. Like, people will go to this place. It's a mad, like, absolutely crazy idea, and I don't think he has enough money for it. But I think it's a good idea that, like, a person who can bring $2 billion worth of investment to a West African country is doing so.
Yeah, I suppose, like, yeah.
Like, he's doing for the right, like, by the sounds of it, he's doing for the right reason. I think, like, there's definitely flaws in his plan. Like, his cryptocurrency is a bit flawed. He'd be better off using, like, the US dollar or the euro and using that as their currency. Use a strong currency in order, so whatever, when the dollar goes up, their currency will go up. When the dollar goes down, their country's currency will go down. Or even, like, because I know some third world countries, cryptocurrencies are used because they're seen as safer. I don't know the ins and outs. I mean, the most economic person in the world like this about this, but I know there are certain countries who don't have their own currency use cryptocurrencies. So maybe it is something to do with that.
It's just like, I don't know if cryptocurrency is the way to go.
No, like, that seems a bit crazy. The fact that he wants now, like, obviously he won't want to be using alien technology. He probably take the look of Wakanda, how it will look like in the city, in the movie, and try to replicate that as best he can. Now, I'm building is about to start, I think, next year.
So he's going to start it. He's starting it like that quickly.
Yeah, he said the project has already got a third of funding. However, Aecon couldn't reveal who invested in the design because of a non-disclosure agreement. But it's going to begin next year, with the first phase taking 3 years.
When did he start looking for funding for it?
I'm not too sure. Maybe it was after seeing the Black Panther. He's like, wow, that was an incredible movie. Let's build this city. Where is this city? I am going to go to it. And he's like, oh, it doesn't exist. And he's like, somebody needs to invent this city. We need this city in Africa.
Where was it actually filmed?
I'm not too sure. Could have been in parts of Africa or parts of Australia.
Yeah.
Imagine Australia because of this film crew and that kind of resources would have been on their doorstep. But it could have been in Africa. I'm not too sure. Could have been parts of America because you could use.
Yeah. Fair play to him.
Yeah, fair play. We'll see how things go. We'll keep an eye on the story, and when we know, we'll let our listeners know how he's going with Wakanda. It would be cool. I know other kind of fictional cities got him. People were getting searches for, as well of other fictional movies where like tour operators. I think Wakanda was one of them, where people were ringing up like TripAdvisor and wanting to go to Wakanda, and people were like, it doesn't exist.
They should have a Gotham.
Yeah. You could go to...
We need a Gotham.
You could go to like Chicago, Boston.
No, we need an actual Gotham. An
actual gang-filled Gotham with lunatics and murderers that you probably wouldn't be advisable to go to. New York's kind of turning into that right now, so go to New York.
I like New York. New York's cool. I like New York.
Yeah, but like lately, it's gone a little bit. It's gone a bit crazy.
It was always kind of like that, though, wasn't it?
It was in the, I think, late 80s, early 90s, and then they kind of went tough on crime, and then they cleaned it up. So throughout the 90s, it was quite clean. It was quite safe. Everything was dirty. New York wasn't really a thing. All the kind of dodgy areas came like really expensive apartment blocks and investment portfolio things, and but yeah, now it's going to with the whole like coronavirus and protests. It's kind of this resentment amongst the community, and apparently it's like this is all just from just listening to podcasts that talk about New York, and like I think California is getting a bad kind of like it's hit quite badly there. It's really expensive to live there and work there, and then people have been forced to be at work, and then some people's property is damaged, so they weren't able to open because of the coronavirus, and then their coffee shop gets destroyed. It's gonna be hard on it, and there isn't a lot of social supports in America, so they'll rebuild. It'll all come back.
Hopefully.
I like going to New York. That's good coffee.
Yeah, New York's good.
Yeah, good coffee, good restaurants. Like, best pizza I had anywhere in the world. And I've been to Italy, so... It's just greasier. That's what I like about it. It's just greasier. Now, I've been waiting all show for this story because Ken promised me that I'll like it. And it's about a guy who can't get a job.
Yeah.
And he said, Ken has this as a must listen to story.
This is an important story.
All right.
So there's this guy from West Virginia. His name is Damian Turner. And he'd probably be prepared to come on the show because he's quite proud about what he's at. He's been struggling to hold down a job. He's 23 or 24 years old. He has not only lost jobs in the last few years, but he's lost friends because he is part of a community called the Adult Baby Diaper Lover Community. and he did an interview with Metro, and he said diapers are convenient, comfortable, and cute. It's a nice lifestyle. Dressing and acting like a baby gives a very calm, relaxing, and safe vibe. But employment is hard, as I'm constantly in and out of jobs. When my employers find my pictures online and can't put up with the fact that I wear a diaper and act childish in the workplace. Now, he's been doing this since he was 16 years old. When he first told his parents that he had an incontinence problem, so they bought him, like, you know, kind of nappies for older teens and kind of special needs people and stuff. And eventually in his 20s, he told his parents the truth, and they're perfectly fine with it.
So wait, he doesn't actually have a problem with shitting himself?
No, he just likes wearing a nappy. Like, and there's photos of him accompanying the article, like, from his Facebook page and stuff, where he's wearing just a t-shirt and a nappy, or he's wearing like a big, you know, like a baby grow kind of thing.
Yeah,
he's wearing that, like, with a nappy, and he's just strolling around in a nappy.
Like, fair enough. He likes wearing a diaper and he likes doing weird things. If you want to do weird things and you also want to hold down employment, why don't you just, you know, not put it up on social media? Why don't you just, like, leave that off social media and you go about wearing your diaper and dressing your baby gowns and doing whatever, and then, like, maybe have a private account, have an account that's not in your name?
Yeah, I don't really know. Like, he blames the fact that he can't keep a job on, basically, his employers can't put up with the fact that he acts like a baby in his workplace.
I imagine that's more to do it. Now, like, when he's in work, does he wear a diaper and then shit himself? And then
yeah.
And then what? Yes, that could also be a problem. Like, if you shit yourself, maybe like, what's that smell? Oh, I really needed to go, so I just shit myself. And you're like, well, are you going to change? And you're like, oh, I'll do in a minute. And you're like, no, I think you should change now. You shit yourself.
Yeah, you just shit yourself, man.
He's like, it's grand. Here, I spilled some milk. Will you clean that up for me? I imagine he's very annoying to be around.
I would like to know, like, to what extent does he mean, like, he acts like a baby in work? Like, does he shit himself and expect somebody to change his nappy for him?
Possibly. If you shit yourself in work and don't change, like, okay, fair enough. People's probably shit themselves in work. We've probably talked about people shitting themselves in work. They're okay. It happens. They like.
Does it?
Yeah. Like, so sometimes, like, you think it's a fart and it isn't a fart. That definitely happened to people. You've been on a night out. It's like, you don't know. You're like, oh, I'll take a chance, and you're like, oh, I have to go home. But that's the thing. You have to go home. And then if anyone asks why I have to go home, I shit myself, and they're like, fair enough. See you tomorrow.
Yeah, but
surely if a person goes, oh, I shit myself, and you're like, don't worry, I have a diaper, and you're like, all right, you gonna go change? You're like, no. I'll do it in 5 minutes. I'll do it on my break. And you're like, oh, your break isn't for half an hour. Go change.
No,
I'm a baby. And you're like, why the fuck did you just not go that over? I'm a baby. You're like, you're fired.
Yeah, why the fuck did I hire this guy?
Yeah, exactly. Like, that would be extremely annoying. Like, yeah, just like anyone who wants that, like, it probably just screams for attention. That's why you can't get a job. Like
yeah,
you're
acting
like a baby. Like, you're just wanting attention.
Yeah, I imagine he's a bit of a bollocks.
Yeah, like, but surely, I'm surprised, like, people, like, his family haven't, like, sat him down, or, like, his friends kind of like, okay, you're into wearing diapers, but, like, you can't act like that when you're at work, or, like, there's certain times you just cannot, like, act like that. Like, how does he still live at home, or, like...
I'm assuming he still lives at home.
Yeah.
Like, he says his parents are completely fine with it, like...
His parents are worse. That's what my mum would say. His parents are worse.
Is that some sort of, like, a psychological disorder?
Yeah, I imagine if there's a psychologist on our show, which he'd probably just tell us we both have psychological disorders. That's that like he probably suffers some form of like separation or anxiety about growing up or moving on. The fact that he's holding on to wearing diapers, there's probably a fear of moving away from his parents or something to do with his mother. It's always something to do with your mother.
It's always mommy's fault.
It's always your mother's fault. There's always people with mother's issues that do weird shit like this. So I imagine something like that that's causing him want to be a baby for the rest of his life.
I don't know. Like I don't know if it's weirder that he wears the diapers or is it weirder that he like acts like a child in public.
It's definitely weird that okay. There's certain people who have certain conditions where they shit themselves. It happens. Like that. Okay, that's okay. They're not doing that on purpose. They just can't hold. They can't like basically hold it when they need to shit or poo. So they deal with it by wearing a diaper. Cool. Okay. Everyone has their own problems. If you purposely wear a diaper and then just shit yourself. Now maybe after he shits himself, he just clean it up. He's like, oh, shit myself. Gonna go to the toilet. I'm gonna clean myself up. But by the sounds of it, he doesn't. But if he's acting like a baby can just go, I shit myself. A baby lies on the ground and goes, I shit myself. I'm gonna start crying until somebody changes me.
Yeah,
like it depends what extent he does this. Like just to be around a person who acts like a child. Like imagine if you're in a low-paying job, which he's probably trying to get.
Like he was working he was a consultant for a landscaping company or some shit.
So yeah, see, you're in like dangerous machines and aggressively caffeine-filled builders. Like they're not the best fucking environment for you to be acting like a baby. Most of them hate children and neglect childbirth. The fact that someone's bringing that shit to work, it's obviously going to go down.
Yeah, like he was, he had a decent job, like.
Yeah, he had like a fairly decent job.
Yeah, but like he doesn't understand why he can't hold down a job.
Poppy, keep shitting yourself, bro.
Yeah. He's actually like blaming his employer, saying like they can't handle it when they see the photos of him online and.
Well, the fact that his employers only find out that he's online, what he's like online, would probably mean that, like, to a certain extent, his antics must be certain controlled when he's like on site, because I'm sure if they're like.
But you see, like, he probably wears the diaper under his clothes.
Yeah, possibly.
When he's at work, like, because there's the photos of him that accompany the article. He's like he's wearing a nappy in. It looks like a public toilet, and he's just wearing like a t-shirt and a nappy, or he's wearing like a giant fucking onesie and a nappy.
His antics of acting like a child. Maybe he just like is just being a typical teenager and like just acting.
Well, he's not. Like, he's in his 20s.
All right, but maybe he's just like he's just not taking whatever job he's given seriously, and he's just kind of trying to be a goof the whole time, trying to make like jokes that aren't funny, and people are like, "You're so childish," and he goes, "Oh yeah, that's because well, I still wear a diaper," and they're like, "What?" And he's like, "Yes, I still wear a diaper, and sometimes I dress up in a onesie," and then people go, "What?" I'm gonna go on his Facebook and sees that and shows the boss, and the boss is like, "Yeah, we'll get rid of this guy. He can't have him around heavy machinery."
Yeah, fire this dude.
Yeah, let's get rid of this guy. But yeah, we wonder how he'll ever hold down a job, and I wonder, same with millennials and Generation Z, how they will ever hold down a job if they're afraid of a full stop.
Yeah.
So our generation, well, we're kind of considered a bit of a snowflake generation, millennials and Generation Z. Seems like the least thing bothers us. So generally when I hear this, I go, well, that's kind of a over exaggeration of like an entire broad range of people born on different years. Well, you can't be all offended by the very least thing, but apparently apparently millennials and Generation Z are now finding full stops offensive.
Yeah, well, there's nothing like an offensive full stop. Like
Offensive full stop. Now, Ken, are you aware of full stops and their meaning in terms of text language?
they generally just mean end of sentence.
So so I have a few examples here. So if I said this, I'm fine, full stop.
Yeah,
That would just be, okay, it's fine. Sounds good, full stop.
yeah, whatever. It's just perfectly normal conversation.
So like if we're having a conversation, what the millennials and Generation Z, and you're like, if you were trying to make plans, and I put, sounds good, full stop, it would be like, it's probably, to you, that'd be like, holy shit, he's being sarcastic. That definitely does not sound good. Or if you...
So full stops are sarcastic?
Yeah, well, yeah. They're implying there's a certain different tone meant by what I'm actually saying.
Like, why can't people just use the English language the way it was intended?
People always change the English language. And same with I'm fine. So if you're like, oh, here are things, and someone put, I'm fine, no full stop, that means they're probably fine. But if they go, I'm fine, full stop, that means, oh, I am definitely not fine, and this is a cry for help.
Full stops just mean end of sentence. That's all they mean.
And same with okay. So if someone says okay, full stop, it means okay. It's definitely.
I've read some extremely sarcastic books. Then,
I don't think nowadays that necessarily applies to like literature, but messaging alone. Internet linguistics expert told the BBC that,
in other words, some dickhead who gave himself a fucking
fake title. Yeah,
Yeah.
This is the greatest load of bullshit of titles. Told the BBC that younger persons, so you can't really, younger people, he says younger persons, so the default way of sending a message is send the minimum amount of important parts to the message as possible. So they just send them individual messages. So if we're chatting, you'll get every sentence is a message. So there's no full stops, no abbreviations, no sentences. Every sentence you say is his own thing. So that's how people are communicating. We've all been in messages like that where we've messaged in sentences before.
Yeah, like I have noticed that this is generally a younger person thing to do.
Yeah, so it kind of, at start kind of annoys me because we make 3 words and then be another 3 words and then be another 3 words.
Yeah,
and you're
like,
trying to reply to each of these.
I would generally do that if I say something and then I remember something else that I need to say.
Yeah, or sometimes if I'm trying to make a joke, I say that. I'll wait a minute and then I'll put the punchline.
Yeah,
so it implies a bit of a pause there.
The whole fucking here's one line and here's the next line and here's the next line thing. That pisses me off more than full stops.
Well, this is what, instead of using full stops, what millennials and Generation Z are doing more and more, that they're just using it. So if you add anything other than the sentence, then whatever you add has alternative motive, kind of like emojis. How emoji can actually change what a sentence actually means depending on the emoji.
Fuck's sake.
Well, I get that with emojis. Like, I'll use emojis.
Yeah, I get that with emojis, but like
full stops
or fucking writing 2 lines in a text message.
Yeah. Well, actually, we've talked about this before. Apparently, your people are more likely to be compatible if they have similar kind of messaging styles. So, let's say if you're messaging someone and they do the new way of doing it, where they message every single sentence, that over time might piss you off. So if another person comes on who has a similar messaging style to you, you're going to find that person easier to message with. And so if you're single and you're just chatting them up and you want to like go on a date, you're actually going to be more compatible. And so actually research are finding that if you have a similar messaging style with a person who has a similar messaging style 2 years, so you'd have an older school messaging style where you'll use full stops and you'll use messages that have more than one sentence.
Yeah, and I use real words.
Yeah, and you use real words, and you might put like exclamation marks where they're needed.
Yeah.
So, you know, like you even say to yourself that kind of pisses you off.
Yeah.
So you can see why there might be friction between people who have different messaging styles. Now, this brought me back to when I was chatting to my friends, and they all are working jobs where they might be sending a lot of emails to either customers or to people that they work with in different offices or different branches or whatever. They'd send a lot of emails. Anyway, in my line of work, I wouldn't send a lot of emails. Generally, it's like, renew my car insurance, I send an email. Or if I wanted to, when I used to try to get guests on, I used to email a few of them. I generally go through I do like Messenger, or I do Instagram, or get them through it that way. So I would sometimes put regards mark at the end of, if I was trying to get like a podcast guest, or if I was sending an email, I'd send regards mark, because I thought regards was shortened versions of kind regards, and kind regards kind of seems like a little bit too formal for certain things, so I'd say regards mark. Oh, was I wrong? Do you know what the termination for regards means, Ken?
Yeah, I would generally think that it's a good thing.
No, oh God, you'd be wrong. If you, according to, and this was like a widespread thing, all my friends agreed with this. This was a conversation of maybe 8 around the table, and they all work in jobs where they'd be emailing a lot of people, and they're all in agreement that this was definitely a thing. And they said, regards comes across as regards. So if you're pissed off with someone and you're trying to be a little bit snotty to them, what you do is instead of saying kind regards, you put regards, and it's sent as those regards, and not like regards as I thought it would be. It's regards.
That's nonsense. No.
I've sent a lot of bitchy emails to a lot of people.
I shouldn't say that on air. Never mind.
Yeah, no, exactly. We're learning not to say things on air. Yeah, but like I did actually then. I remember I was emailing something to do with the podcast. It was like, probably it was Apple, and
it's always fucking Apple.
More likely Apple. And I remember I was getting a little bit annoyed, so I typed as regards, and usually I wasn't finishing off. I said kind regards first, and then I was kind of getting flustered with it. So then I did change it to mean regards, and I was like, I don't know if they'll get my snottiness of this. I've always said regards, but this time it means regards. So I don't know if it came across. Maybe if I add a full stop after the regards, I think that'll seal the deal. That what is it?
An exclamation mark.
Yeah, an exclamation mark. The writer herself, who was doing the article, like, she was in agreement that this thing is definitely a thing she's done before, where she called it the full stop of death, meaning that like when she sent a message, she's definitely meant it as an insult.
What, the full stop?
Yeah, she called it the full stop of doom, where like when she wanted to, like when she was maybe saying that I'm fine, full stop, meant I'm not really fine, or she meant the opposite, or she was being sarcastic when she added a full stop.
So, like, people are just mental then. Like, they're absolutely fucking mental.
She said it feels good, and then she talks to the reader, doesn't it? No. It only feels good if the other person knows you're being sarcastic. And she said it is a handy way of casually getting your annoyance about a person while sidestepping the messiness of explaining why you're actually annoyed. It kind of like, and I don't want to sound sexist, it kind of seems like a female thing to do, where you're just trying to be a little bit bitchy.
Yeah.
So you've put these subtle slints that I'm annoyed at you, but I don't actually want to have the conversation or tell you why I'm annoyed at you. You have to figure that out for yourself. But I'm going to continue to be a cunt.
Right, I've just Googled it.
Yeah.
I've just Googled what does regards mean in an email. And it says, using regards in an email closing suggests that you have respect for the recipient, but not necessarily a close relationship with them. Because it is less formal than sincerely, expressions like regards are perfect in emails which tend to be less formal than a letter.
Okay, so I was using it correctly then all these years, and my friends are just mental, is what you're saying.
Yeah, your friends are just all mental.
they all work in different places, and they are all in full agreement that regards means regards.
It says, here are the 10 most common ways to end an email politely. Best regards, sincerely, just regards, kind regards, thank you, warm wishes, with gratitude, and many thanks.
Oh, right.
And hang on, there's 2 more. Where are the other 2? Many thanks and respectfully.
Yeah, she made me say, basically, this is the digital equivalent of a dirty look from a car. So when you're not able to vocate how you feel about someone, that full stops replace that need. Like, emojis kind of are meant to replace that need of full stops. Or of dirty. You can send an emoji. If you say I'm fine, and then put an emoji of a person with a blank look on their face. You know, when the mouth's just a line and they're just looking dead at you.
Yeah.
Like if you I'm fine, and the person's showing no emotions, that would to me say, okay, that person's not fine.
Here's the 6th like most bitchy ways to end an email.
Yeah.
Your friend. Cheers, peace, thanks a bunch, chat soon, and yours truly.
None of those seem to me as being like anyway sarcastic.
Thanks a bunch.
Oh yeah, thanks a bunch. Like you can like thanks a bunch. Full stop. That definitely doesn't mean thanks a bunch. Now we
thanks
know.
A bunch is basically just go fuck yourself.
unless they actually helped you out. Like, sometimes if somebody has helped me out in the past, like, oh, thanks a million. Thanks for all your help. Cheers. Goodbye. But thanks a bunch definitely would come across to me as like, thanks a bunch.
Yeah, it would come across as being a bit dicky.
Meant to be the digital equivalent of a dirty look is using full stops. Like, I don't know. Is this a bit soft? Are millennials being a bit soft, or is this a new way to revolutionize the English language to maybe...
I just looked up full stop. Mark, you've got me Googling weird shit now. I just looked up, are full stops sarcastic?
Yeah.
And it said, ending a message with a full stop is increasingly seen as being aggressive and rude.
Yeah.
In speech, a full stop is accompanied by a lowering of a voice which carries formal connotations and suggests what you're saying is final.
Yeah, I was just looking at the last few messages that I sent. Now, generally, I just send them with ending with emojis most of. So I think that's all right.
Did you send me any full stops today, you bastard?
No, I generally just ended like I don't like formalize my messaging. But now, from now on, I'm gonna actually do a social experiment with my friends, and I'm gonna end messages with full stops. And I'm going to see what they say.
They say regards at the end of them all as well.
Yeah, they're like, okay. Someone's a cunt. I'd love to know, like, if our listeners agree with any of this nonsense of full stops being offensive, or if my friends are right in terms of regards mean regards.
No, I think your friends are just mental.
I think if you start an email, like the first time you email someone and you put regards, you probably don't mean you're being a cunt. But if you're putting kind regards or thanks a million,
I think it depends on whether or not the person's being a cunt.
Yeah, I think it's like I think it's definitely your conversation as well as maybe the regard. Like if you were and thanks a million, Ken, or thanks a bunch, Ken, or it was like cheers or kind regards, Ken, and then the conversation was getting a bit sour, and okay, sure, whatever, regards, Ken. People are
thanks a bunch, you prick.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks a million, you dick. But yeah, I just think let's leave the English language alone. Like these full stops should just mean full stops. But then again, if you're ending a message like a one sentence message, why are you putting a full stop at the end of it? It would be a bit weird to send a message and then add a full stop. Would you? You haven't done it to me. Like I haven't got any messages.
I not all the time, but I would occasionally have a one sentence message that I would put a full stop in.
Yeah, that's I've never done that. Like that takes effort to either double tap spacebar or
whoa, hang on, double tap the spacebar.
Yeah, well, in order to get a full stop, you double tap spacebar. Whereas you go look for a spacebar, but that's in a different button set, and then you just double tap spacebar, it comes up a full stop.
Did not know that.
Yeah. I don't know if it's Android or if that's an Apple thing, but I thought it was all phone thing.
I'm gonna have to start doing that.
Yeah, it's definitely handy if you're like me and you do send messages that has more than one sentence. Like sometimes I don't
messages that have proper punctuation.
Well, yeah, sometimes I don't like sending really long message because it comes across as like a giant essay that you have to read through, even though it might be only 2 sentences long, 3 sentences long at most. It just comes across as what kind of biblical text is this person sending me?
What's this asshole doing?
Yeah, why doesn't he just like send multiple messages all at once?
Yeah.
Why is my screen?
Why is there 15 full stops in this message? What a prick!
What a prick! But he didn't. No, I think it's ending it with a full stop. Yeah, because I remember years ago, people would always complain that you don't like. People don't use full stops in messages, or that was a huge complaint from a lot of people.
Yeah, people when I first started using like fucking text messages and stuff, people used to give out that you didn't spell words properly and that you were fucking arsing about with bollocks meaning words and like words that weren't really words, and you weren't using punctuation, and you were just being a general uncivilized fucking muck savage.
Yeah, muck savage.
But now, like, that seems to be the thing to do.
Yeah, muck savage. Pretty good. That's a pretty good slag.
Oh, muck savage.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's okay.
All right,
you got the mark current seal of approval.
Yeah, we'll put out to our listeners to let us know if full stops to them are offensive, and if regards, have they ever sent an email trying to be a bitchy cunt with the end of regards, and the muck savages can get back to us on for next week's show. We might address it, we might not. We've ran out of time, so once again, we're not going to talk about if police officers should use martial arts. I don't think we'll ever get around to this conversation, Ken.
I don't think so either. It's been going on about a month now.
It's going on about. I don't know if we've fully talked about that. We've been trying to talk about it for a month. This might be the first time we brought it up. But yeah,
it's been on the list for about a month.
It's on the list for about a month. It'll be on the list next week, I'm sure, if we run out of stories. But we'll be back next Thursday with another show. We'll talk to you then.
Shut up and sit down.